Hi friends, I can't wait to see you in our online classes. But in order to be ready for those classes, you're going to need some supplies to use in place of the musical instruments we would usually have when we're meeting at RMC. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a shaker, a hand drum, and then give you some tips on what you can use as rhythm sticks for tapping or for playing the drum. So take a look at the videos, have fun creating the instruments, and I can't wait to see you in class. Here are the things you'll need. You'll need some kind of container. This is just a plastic container with a lid, a glue stick, some rice or beans or anything else to be the shaker inside, some markers, crayons, some scissors, these are grown-up scissors, and some paper. First, take the container with the lid off, and then get a marker, crayon, or pencil and mark where the container stops on the paper. Then wrap the paper around the container and make another mark where the paper meets itself. That way we'll know exactly how big the paper needs to be to wrap around our container. Then using the scissors, cut the paper out where you made the marks. These are grown-up scissors. You might want to use scissors that are safer for younger people, or get a grown-up to help you cut the paper. Make sure you cut the lines as straight as possible. Then we're going to decorate the piece of paper that we cut out. You can draw whatever you want on mine. I'm going to make a big purple swirl and then maybe some red lines coming out of the swirl. And some green dots in between the lines. Like I said, you can make whatever design you want on your paper to decorate your shaker. Then I'm going to flip the paper over and use my glue stick to put glue all over the back. I'm being careful not to get glue on my table. You might want to put some scrap paper down first, just to make sure there's not glue on the table. And you want to cover as much of the back as you can with the glue. Then wrap the paper around your container and make sure it's in a straight line so that it doesn't curve and stick up over the edge of your container. And then once it's wrapped around, you can press it down, especially along the seams, to make sure that it's nice and tight on your container. Then you can put the rice or whatever you're using for the shaker sounds inside your container. I'm just going to put a little hole in the bag so the rice doesn't go everywhere. This is another part that you might want to get a grown-up to help you with. And once it's all inside, put the lid on tight. Even though the lid is on tight, we want to make sure it doesn't fall off so that the rice stays safe inside. So I'm going to put some tape around the top. The first piece will overlap the container and the lid, and then I'll press it down onto the lid to make sure it's nice and firm. Then I'm going to add another piece of tape overlapping that one, just to make double sure that the lid doesn't come off, because all that rice would make a big mess. Then, just so my shaker looks the same at the top and bottom, I'm going to put another piece of tape around the bottom. You don't really need this one, it just makes the shaker look symmetrical. And then you can hear how it shakes. Hi friends, today we're going to make our very own hand drum that we can use in our class or that we can just play anytime we want. Here are the supplies you'll need. First, you'll need some paper. You'll need some scissors. These are grown-up scissors, so you might want to have a grown-up help you with this activity. You'll need some tape. You'll need some markers, crayons, or anything really to decorate your drum. And you'll need a larger can for your drum. I used a coffee can. You could use an oatmeal can, or really any kind of can you want. Some tips: you're going to want something with a plastic lid so that it sounds better. And the bigger the container is, the louder the drum sound will be. So you probably want to use something the size of a coffee can or bigger. The first thing I've done is taken the paper and cut it so that it's the right height to fit on my can to make the drum. I also noticed that when I wrapped the paper around, it wasn't long enough to cover the whole can. It's okay if you want to have that little space, but if you want your paper to go all the way around, you'll need 2 pieces of paper. So once you've cut the paper, or probably have a grown-up cut it for you, you're going to want to put those 2 pieces of paper flat on the table. Make sure they're lined up really good so that they're straight. And then take some tape and tape them together. I'm going to do it on both sides so that there's not a piece that flaps around when I wrap it around my drum. Next, I'm going to take my markers, crayons, or whatever else I'm using to decorate my drum, and I'm going to decorate the paper. I'm going to choose orange, purple, and pink. Now, you'll notice that this paper is now way too long, and if I wrap it around, some of it is going to get covered over. So, in order to not decorate more paper than I need, I'm going to take a look at where exactly the paper meets together, make a little pinch, and before I decorate my paper, I'm going to cut off the extra piece so that none of my decorations get covered up. This little piece you can just get rid of. Now it's time to decorate the paper. I'm just going to do a quick decoration so we're not taking too much time. You can pause the video here and take as much time as you need to decorate your paper exactly how you want it. First, I think I'll do a big pink wavy line down the middle. Then maybe I'll do some orange lines, and I'm just going to put them in wherever I want. And then I think I'll do some purple dots just to add a little bit more color to my drum. Again, you can decorate your drum however you want. This is what I came up with. Then we're going to flip it over so the part I decorated is down at the bottom. I'll take my can, take the lid off, and then just wrap my decorated paper around the can. You're probably going to need some grown-up help for this part. When it meets, I'll take my tape again and tape it together. And I'm going to make sure I tape up the whole seam so that I don't get this floppy part there where it might rip later on. Now I have the whole seam taped up. My drum looks nice and decorated. I can put the lid back on. And the cool thing about using a coffee can that has a plastic top and a metal bottom is you get 2 drum sounds out of the same drum. I could use it with my hand, or I could use one of my markers or another stick-like thing for a drumstick. Kind of cool. You could even play it this way and get both sounds. hope you enjoyed making a drum, and I can't wait to use them with you in class. The last thing we're going to need in terms of supplies for music class, once we have our shaker and our hand drum ready to go, is some kind of rhythm stick. This could be really anything that is long and generally stick-shaped. The key components are that you want to make sure your child can really hold them well, and they're not going to hurt themselves or the thing itself by tapping them together. So safety really is the number one concern, but after that, whatever works for tapping. Here's some suggestions I found from around my house. I could use some kitchen cooking utensils. These are plastic, so they're really pretty safe. You could hold them this way and tap them, or you could flip them around and just have two big sticks. They might be a little big for small hands, so again, you use your own judgment in terms of what works for your child. You could also just use two regular spoons. They work pretty well, have a good sound. They are a little heavy, so again, safety first, whatever works, but these would work pretty well too. You could use some pencils or markers to tap together. This would be good for smaller hands. You may want to glue the cap on if it's a marker, just so it doesn't fly off or just fall off and then you have marker all over your hands. So again, using your judgment, but this would work. I also happen to have two knitting needles. These make good use as drumsticks. I would suggest these for older children. They're a little pointy at the top, but you could file them down or just use them this way and they'd be okay. I also have two longer paint brushes that I use for some art around the house. These are great because they're soft at the edge. They're not going to be pointy, and they make great tapping. Once you have your drumsticks, your hand drum, and your shaker, we are ready to go for our early childhood classes.